Hello and welcome to Tell's Garage. I'm talking to you today about oil catch tanks and swell pots for your oil system. Now I've made one for this TT which is over the back of the garage. Purely I made one because you can't really find anything that's really of good. There's a lot of rubbish stuff on the internet, and anything that is really good is normally really expensive. So catch tanks are very easy to make. You can make them out of anything, like this one here. Let's talk to you about this one. So I made this is for this TT. It's a nice big size, and believe it or not, I made this out of an old fire extinguisher. So just a little tiny little powder fire extinguisher, was about that big. Chopped the bottom off, chopped it down. That's where the valve normally would have been. And then this is an oil swell pot. So the idea of this container that I've made is you have the block breather which goes onto the bottom, and it also is your oil return, so you don't have to empty this. It will actually refilter back down to the crankcase. Cylinder head goes on here, and then this one goes into the intake pipe or your tip of the 20 valve turbo. Now pretty much you could put this on a PD series engine, you could put it on a 19D. Lots of Volkswagens will take this. Now the reason you see some people, they put a little air filter on there so they don't circle it back into their breather system. They just vent to atmosphere. Now that's all good when racing and everything like that, because it's good to keep the oil inside the engine, and it helps to build a mist up inside the engine which protects components. Now on road it's not so good, because unfortunately basically engines like running with a negative pressure in them. Now the reason being is it helps keep the oil inside the engine. So you might notice if you are running catch tanks that your engine gets a little bit oily. It doesn't so much leak, it just gets damp around the seals. And that's because you get a small piece of oil which is bypassing the seals, and it just makes everything a little bit damp. It makes the engine look a bit tired. And that's because obviously you have a backwards pressure or combustion gases which escape past your piston rings, especially when running high boost on big power things. So it's always good to take that gas out of the engine and then replace it with a negative pressure. And also a lot of engines now run what are called oil spray systems to actually lubricate things, so they like the negative pressure. It helps keep that thick fog down inside your engine to reduce drag. Now as for the catch tanks themselves, now if you imagine, the way this works is you've got to build something that's kind of like a Dyson's Hoover. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to see, oil is heavy, air is not, the gas is not. So you are trying to propel that air at the sidewall at velocity, and then you're trying to change its direction very sharply. So for instance, this pipe here, this goes through the can to the back wall and then sits literally about 2-3 mil from the side can. So as the gases fire through, the oil hits the wall and the gases shoot off around the side, and then the oil runs down and goes back down the crankcase, down into the crankcase. Same with the top one. The top one where the gas comes back out, that pipe flips around and points right here at the top. So as it's pulling air in, it's trying to pull it around that sharp corner. And again, if there is an oil vapour in there, rather than it managing to do that sharp 90-degree turn, it just flies right by and then hits the wall of the container and again runs out. And that's why it's called a swell pot. And also, swell pots are best when they're round. Reason being is you're trying to create a vortex in there, trying to spin the gases in there. Gases don't like spinning around inside of square canisters. That's why it's always good to run a round one. And it's always good to have a nice sized canister. The better and bigger your canister to some degree, obviously you don't want to be like, but you want a nice sized canister, because then you can spin it round and you're trying to throw that oil against the sidewall to return it back to your crankcase. So yeah, so there you go. Hope that helps people anyway. I'm going to stick this on the car at the moment. I'm using PVC piping, so it's very similar to like a clear bit of hose pipe almost, But rather than being just a standard bit of hose pipe, this stuff has metal windings inside it to stop it from collapsing and crushing and keep it structurally strong. The reason you use PVC as well is because it can withstand engine oil. So unlike rubber pipes, they will rot away, go all squishy and fall to pieces. Same with silicone as well. Silica pipes do not like oil, and you'll normally find if you buy any silica pipes that are for your breather system, if you look in the inside, they have a black coating, which is normally like an oil resistant coating that they put on the inside to stop it from attaching the silicone pipes. So yeah, got to be careful with that as well. So yeah, hope that helps. But yeah, nice little breather can made out of a old fire extinguisher with the pipes all put into it. The bottom one on this obviously does not go against a sidewall, it just comes in and stops. Reason being is I'm trying to return that oil back to the crankcase. So obviously if the pipe was on it up to here or to a sidewall, it would fill up with oil until it hit where it could return back in. So I've left it. What you can do is you can weld maybe a penny like over the top, but leave it so there's a gap around the side about 2 mil. So again, you're trying to change the direction of the air. It's all about making that air do a sharp turn to try and get the oil out of it. And that's how you make swirl cans work. You can also point the cans at the sidewall to spin the gases around the chamber. Again, as it spins, it will throw the air out and throw it against the sidewall. So lots of techniques, but remember, it's all about direction of change of air to get that oil out of the air. Otherwise, all that will happen if you just put the pipes straight in and just literally leave them against the surface. All that will happen is that lovely oil, gassy air, which has got that vapour, and will just go whee straight back out the other pipe, straight into your intake tip, and then be going through all your boost system. So it's always good to try and get it out. So, but there you go. Hope that helps, and yeah, we'll go from there. Thank you very much.